Welcome to the Stepmom Side with Alicia, the podcast for stepmoms ready to create the life they want and one they actually have a say in. Here we talk all things stepmom life and just a little bit more. Leave the superficial conversations at the door and get ready for perspective shifts and actionable advice to help you on your way to creating the life you want, one step at a time. Welcome back to the Stepmom Side podcast, the no fluff, brutally honest, and emotionally validating space for stepmoms who are just trying to stay sane and feel seen. I'm Alicia, coach, stepmom, and someone who has absolutely smiled through gritted teeth while hearing, Mom says we don't have to do that. Yeah, we're going there today. So, okay, tell me if this hits. Your stepkid starts talking about their mom again. Maybe it's harmless, maybe it's sweet, maybe it's totally neutral, but for some reason, deep inside, you feel it. That sting, that pang, that twinge of, ugh. And then the guilt kicks in, right? Like, why does this bother me so much? She's their mom. I shouldn't feel this way. I must be an awful stepmom, or I'm evil, or whatever. Is something wrong with me? And here's the deal, friend. I'm here to say it loud and clear. You are not wrong. You are not awful, evil, crazy, none of those things. And most importantly, yes, it's completely normal to feel jealous. Even if you're not telling anyone that you're feeling jealous, it's completely normal to feel it. But today we're talking about unpacking the guilt, the comparison, the fear, and that weird knot in your stomach when your stepkids talk about their mom. And also what to do about it without spiraling or judging yourself. Because everyone else does that enough for us. We don't also need to judge ourselves. So let's just lay it bare. You're showing up, you're doing the work, you're loving these kids, cooking dinners, attending events, cleaning messes, wiping tears, doing homework, all of the things. And then your stepkid says, my mom makes this way better. Or at my mom's house, we don't have to do that. Or can you call my mom instead? And suddenly, all of your effort, it feels invisible. It's like being the understudy who showed up to every single rehearsal only to be reminded every single day that you're not the lead. You're not the lead. You're not the one that's running the show. And I just want you to know, I've been there. There were times where, one of my stepkids would mention something about their mom. Oh, she makes my favorite meal. And in my head, I'm like, what is your favorite meal? Or, oh, my mom makes my favorite meal. And it's something that I've never even heard of. And I'm like, what are you even talking about? All the while, I'm standing there literally stirring the dinner I made for them. And it took me everything to not throw the spoon across the kitchen and be like, fine, call her, have her come over and make it, or, go back to your mom's house or whatever it is. It's completely normal. So the jealousy that you're feeling, it's not about hating their mom. It's about what her presence represents. And here's the emotional truth. It triggers your feelings of being replaceable. And that sounds weird to say, right? Because you're the stepmom and you're not their mom. But it's also like, I could be swapped out with anyone, or if they're not getting what they need here, like they'll just go back to her. They've got options. That's what that boils down to. It messes with your need to feel valued because you're like, hey, let me do all the work and let me show up and let me show you how much I love you and care about you and do all of these things. And then they're like, well, my mom does this. And it's like, great, so you don't appreciate anything that I've done? Awesome. It hits your desire to belong and be seen. And this one is really deep because really what you want to do is you want to feel like you belong. You want to feel like you're a part of the family. And so when they're constantly reminding you that there's someone else that's in your role that's actually more important than you, it's like, okay, well, I don't belong here. They already have this other person that does these things, right? Like, it's just this weird thing. And unless you're a stepmom, you don't get it. But it also sparks that fear that you'll never be as important, right? Because you're replaceable. You're not valued. You don't belong. So you're never going to be as important. And so, of course, your heart starts to react. Of course you feel it. And when you bottle that up and try to just get over it, it turns into resentment. And then you start pulling away, but not just from the kids, but from your own sense of self-worth. And let's be clear on what this jealousy doesn't mean. It doesn't mean that you're being petty. It doesn't mean that you're trying to replace her. It doesn't mean that you don't love your stepkids. And it definitely doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're a human with emotions navigating an extremely weird, complex, layered family dynamic that no one actually prepares you for. But also, how could they? And seriously, can we get a manual already? But also, like, how thick would that manual have to be? Let's get into the what now part. You're not going to avoid these moments entirely. There's absolutely no way. But you can change how you respond to them, internally and externally. So, number one, name the feeling without shaming it. When you feel that twinge of jealousy, try this. Okay, that made me feel small, and that's okay. I'm allowed to feel this way. Naming it helps you move through it. Ignoring it, that is the shortcut, my friend, to the burnout zone. Number two, separate the kids' experience from yours. Your stepkids aren't trying to hurt you. They're just sharing, talking, processing, trying to be relatable or trying to relate to you. They don't know that it lands as a dagger, but it's also not their job to protect your emotions. It's your job to hold space for yourself while still showing up for them. Here's the reminder that you can use. They're not choosing her over me. They're connecting with their story. Number three, create boundaries if you need to. If the talk is constant and triggering, especially when it's used to compare or manipulate, it's okay to bring that to your partner and say, I'm working on my own emotional stuff around this, but I also need your support in creating space where I don't feel like I'm being measured against her. Obviously, don't say it like that. A little more evenly toned would be, I'm working on my own. Let's try that again. Words are hard right now. I'm working on my own emotional stuff around this, but I also need your support in creating space where I don't feel like I'm being measured against her. A boundary was something that I absolutely had to do, and it doesn't mean silence. They mean intention. And I've talked about this a lot before on the podcast, but like when it came to you taking the kids on vacation, there were a lot of places that I didn't want to go to or didn't want to experience because they had already been there with their mom and dad. And it just became so much like, remember when we did this with mom and this with you guys and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, again, why am I going? Why am I here? Like, I don't belong. Like, I, am replaceable. Like, all of the things, right? Until finally one time I pulled my husband aside and just said, hey, this was not out of anger. I did not say it out of anger because that doesn't get me anywhere. I sent it out of sadness and was like, hey, I just want you to know when we're having conversations about going places and the kids, in my mind, maybe not in yours, but in my mind, it seems like they're constantly, my mom this, my mom that, my mom this, my mom that. I get that and I understand that, she's really important to them. However, I would really appreciate your help redirecting the conversation because if I do it every single time that they bring up their mom, they're going to think that I don't want her to be brought up in conversation. But if you are doing it, I feel like I also have some sort of support, but then they can also kind of get the picture like, hey, let's focus on the memories that we're going to make. And my husband did a really great job of this. Like when things would happen, he would hold my hand or, give me some sort of physical touch or whatever, and then gently guide the conversation to I'm really excited to the memories that we are going to be making on this trip with Alicia. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't say that. So again, boundaries don't mean silence. They just mean intention. Like, what are we doing? Number 4, focus on your role. Your role isn't to be her. Your role isn't to compete. Your role is to build something new. You can't be her, full stop. Also, she can't be you. So instead of focusing on what she has or what the kids say about her, focus on the tiny connections you're building. The little inside jokes, the safe space you offer, the trust that's growing, even if it's slow. Because trust me, that stuff matters. Even when they don't say it, even when it's not Insta-worthy, it freaking matters. And small baby steps or small progress is still progress, my friend. So these 4 tips for you. Number 1, when it gets hard, here's what I want you to do. Number 1, name that feeling without shaming it. Number 2, separate the kids' experience from yours. Number 3, create boundaries if you need to. Number 4, focus on your role. There have been times, absolutely, like I mentioned, where, my stepkids were, go on and on about how their mom does everything better. And it's not that their words they weren't mean, but they felt like tiny knives. I would excuse myself, lock myself in the bathroom and just cry, or like go to bed crying that night, like just trying to hold it all together. And the worst part though is I felt ashamed for even feeling that way. Like I was like, what is wrong with what is wrong with me? Why am I doing this? And I've said to my husband, like, I know I shouldn't care, and even though I understand why they're doing it, it's their mom, for Pete's sake, right? Like that's like their gold standard. Even though I know why they're doing it, I shouldn't care, but it just really hurts. I feel like I'm giving so much and it doesn't even register. Like it doesn't even matter because I'm not the mom. And something that my husband would say would be like, it doesn't matter if they say it or not. You matter to me, always. You always matter to me, whether or not the kids say it. And I'm like, oh, really? But that moment was everything. It didn't erase the jealousy, but it reminded me that I belong here. Somebody, even if it's just my husband, somebody wants me on their team. Somebody wants me around. So if your heart sinks every time your stepkids bring up their mom, I just want you to know you're not alone. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're just a stepmom trying to hold space for yourself in a house that wasn't originally built for you or with you in mind. But guess what? You do belong here. You are valuable, and no one can take that away from you, not even comparison. So if you're wrestling with these emotions and need a space where you can talk it out with other women who totally get it, there's plenty of stepmoms inside the Stepmom Side community that can help you through this. There's no judgment, just support. But if this jealousy has taken over your peace and you just want help working through it in a private, safe space, one-to-one coaching with me is exactly where we do that work. But if this episode hit a nerve, please share it with another stepmom who's sitting in the jealousy spiral and thinking that she's the only one. You're not. She's not. You're just a stepmom with a whole lot of heart navigating a really freaking complicated role. I see you. I've been you. And just so you know, my friend, I am here with you. I will chat with you next week. Thanks for taking time to listen to this week's episode. If anything was helpful or resonated with you, please share it on social media and tag me. I'm just at Alicia Crasco. And if you could leave a 5-star rating and a review while you're at it, that would also be really helpful. And if you find yourself struggling with your stepmom journey and you want a little bit more support without the hefty price tag of coaching, you might want to check out the Stepmom Side community, which is my own private community for stepmoms, where you get to connect with other stepmoms around the world and myself, where I hold weekly office hours and monthly group coaching. It's kind of like you have your own personal coach in your own back pocket. Again, without that hefty price tag. See you next week.